Welcome back to the BFL journey. So 2025, I have completed the Potomac. That wasn't a tournament that turned out as good as I would have preferred. However, looking back on it, it was an amazing learning experience. So I came in 93rd out of 115. That certainly isn't where I wanted to place. What I did learn from that is it's kind of amazing to be able to go on that journey. And in hindsight, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about the Potomac River. I learned a lot about this boat. I had only owned this boat for about maybe a month, 2 months, maybe, I think about a month. So there was a lot of contributing factors to that. There was a lot of new stuff that was happening in that tournament. First time at the Potomac, fishing out of my boat, learning this boat, figuring out what the fish wanted. I practiced well. We found, Ken and I found about five spots that were really good. I felt pretty confident in those 5 spots. Found good weed. Found baits that I liked, that the fish were biting on.
We have our, bringing in the fish.
There we go.
There we go. It's a healthy one, but stretch them out.
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna stop here.
You caught one?
Second cast.
Yeah, I told you this one. That's why I said cruise along here and look for your grass.
And that might
He's a
be
keeper.
that
Yeah.
might be
That's
15.
Yeah. There you go.
One more and we got a pattern.
Yeah.
Because people are going to Aquia 3. We got us a pattern. I think we're leaving.
Right.
I might start here.
Yeah, see, every time I show you someplace.
I know. Yeah. They're not big, but
Yeah, but you get,
if I can get bites.
bite.
And come tournament day, we went out, we caught catfish in the morning, found a decent spot. Probably should have ran through that spot like 3 to 5 more times. Double.
No, I'm getting out of your way.
But then we went to a good spot with weeds, good weeds. People were there. They were catching fish. We started catching fish.
Yeah.
Yep. This was a mistake, though. It was a good We had 2 fish probably by 9:30, I think. My co-angler caught 2, I had 1, and then the tide changed, and we probably in hindsight should have just moved out to the outer weed edge instead of fishing in the weeds or the inner weed line. And we made a run down to some jetties, which I liked in practice, but then when I got there at the tournament, it was not what I was looking for. Didn't feel right. We had a small craft advisory, so the wind was pretty bad. The waves were decent size, so we ended up moving back to Mattawoman. And when we moved to Mattawoman, there were a lot of people in there getting out of the wind, I think, and the tide, because of the wind that the night before, it had pushed out like 3 feet of water. So what that did is it pushed all the fish out into the deeper areas of Mattawoman. I couldn't figure out what they were biting on, but at that point I had really lost my confidence, and at that it didn't work. As soon as you lose confidence when you're bass fishing, it's hard to get back into it. That it made for a tournament where I felt really bad for about 2 to 3 days afterwards. I'm going to link to the Brian Latimer. We did a post-tournament session, and we talked about the tournament and what we learned from it, and I'll link to that, and you guys can take a look at that as well. So that was the Potomac. I'm fishing a bunch of online tournaments as well as graylock bass. So we've had 3 tournaments now. I missed a 4th tournament for graylock bass. The first tournament was at a lake that I typically don't do too well. So I didn't do too well. So between the Potomac and then that first tournament, I was feeling pretty bad. I came in, 3rd to last or something in the club tournament. And then the second one, that was the first one, so I did that club tournament first, and then I did the Potomac. Missed the second club tournament, and then came back and did a club tournament here. And that one, I got 5 fish. And that's what I needed. I needed to be, kind of break this boat in, get those 5 fish in the live well. They weren't huge, but they were competitive. And if I would have got the right bites, I certainly would have had 5 decent fish. So that made me feel good. Getting those 5 fish really made it so that I felt confident in my boat. I went and found the fish that I like to fish for. So I was fishing with a jig, Nico. I think in that tournament, I probably used a drop shot as well. went and found those fish. Got more than 5. I probably had a dozen bites. Nothing major. So, but that was good. I felt great. Next tournament was at one of my favorite lakes, Lake George, up in the Adirondacks. Made a long run on that lake. Went and found the fish I like to fish for. I had a great day. I had 5 fish in the live well by 30. We started at 6, and I made probably a 35-minute run. That felt great. So I came back. Unfortunately, with that one, I don't know why in my head I thought the tournament went till 3. I don't know why it was in my head, but it was. And then I'm fishing and I'm like, man, that doesn't seem right. I need to get back for 2 o'clock. I headed back for 2 o'clock, and the boat traffic, because it was one of the first days that it was actually hot up here, the boat traffic was horrendous. So I couldn't make that long run back. I had to go a little slower, and I ended up being 2 minutes late. So that's a 2-pound penalty. I had 13 pounds, 15 ounces, so almost 14 pounds, 2-pound penalty, put me at 11. It didn't change the place I was in because the guy behind me was at 11. He had 11 pounds and something ounces. But I was really, really pissed at myself because I didn't want to be late. You don't do that. I know better than that. So, learned something there too. Make sure you get back on time. Take into account all of the factors that you might see in that tournament. Wind, weather, boats, etc. So, the other thing I'm doing is I'm in a bunch of online tournaments. I actually really like the online tournament format because, working full time, it's hard to get to these places, to the Potomac, to the St. Lawrence, Champlain. Every one of them's 2+ hours for me. The Potomac's like, I think that's 8 or 9 hours. And the St. Lawrence is, I think, 4 hours. So these online tournaments are really nice because I can still fish competitively, and I get to fish when I can go out and fish, right? So a lot of these tournaments I'm in, like the Straight Up Fishing tournament, is it's a month long. I'm also hosting a tournament for my nonprofit, Kindlewood Cares. And I really like those because it still gives you, it's a still competitive thing. So what I like is that if I'm thinking about going fishing after work, and that thought in your head is, you got to get the boat out, you got to get it in the water. With these online tournaments, it's like, yeah, and you need to do that. You need to get out there, and you need to actually get the boat in the water so that you can actually catch a couple fish, right? So what that does is it helps me continue to hone my skills, habits, break some habits, get a little better at casting, get a little better at landing fish, get a little better at knowing where they are. So I actually really like those online tournaments. I'll probably fish those forever. It's very convenient. So I'll put a link to both Straight Up Fishing tournament, and I'm going to put a link to the nonprofit Kindlewood Cares tournament that I'm hosting. So St. Lawrence River is next. I've never been there. I hear it's great. It seems like it's going to be water that I like to fish. I like that clear water. I love smallmouth fishing. So this should be a really good experience. I'm not saying that I'm going to do really well in the tournament, but I want 5 fish. I need 5 fish in the live well, and I'm going to be satisfied. So I'm heading up there a couple days early to practice, and we're going to do a lake breakdown as well. So this week we're going to do a Straight Up Fishing lake breakdown, and I will put a link to Straight Up Fishing, and you can check it out, and you can see what we're going to talk about how we can break down the St. Lawrence and catch some fish. I want to talk a little bit about Straight Up Fishing and this sponsorship that Brian Latimer's I've had the opportunity to be part of. So just having him help break down and make things simple, that is probably the key to me doing better, because I tend to think about too many things and too many factors. And what I love about Brian is he hones you in on the important things and kind of says, forget about these other things, get those things right first, like finding the fish, right? Finding your confidence bait. And part of the Straight Up Fishing School is we're going to have that lake breakdown. So that mentorship is invaluable to mostly feeling confident that you can go do this. That to me is probably the most important part. Is not only you're going to get the knowledge, you're going to understand the baits, you're going to understand rods and reels and line, but it's that the mental edge that you get, and that to me is really important. So check it out. I honestly believe that that's more important than knowing every bait in your tackle box, what manufacturer it is and the nuances between this one and that one. That's important, but it's like the 80-20 rule. 80% of fishing is knowing where the fish are, having a bait for the different areas of the water column, top, middle, bottom. If you can find them, you're probably going to have a bait that you can catch them, right? So I just think that that's way more important. All right, in closing, so the next episode is going to be the St. Lawrence. After the St. Lawrence, I'll do a recap of what I learned, what we've done so far, see where we're at. Talk about goals. So my goals for the BFL is to go learn these lakes. I really want 5 fish. I just want 5 fish. I don't care how big they are. I want 5 fish each tournament. That means that I have done enough lake breakdown that I feel confident in myself, and that I can actually catch some fish in that tournament scenario. So that's the BFL. Greylock Bass Angler of the Year. That's going to be tough. I had 2 bad tournaments this year, and I don't think I can. I'm certainly not going to get Angler of the Year. However, I do want to continue to catch 5 fish and have good tournament showing. So that's so BFL and Greylock, and then online. I just want to show up. I want to be competitive. Whatever that means in each tournament, right? Is that a top 10? Is that a top 30? I don't know. So in Straight Up Fishing's tournament, I want to get top 40. As you get top 40, you go to the championship. I'm currently sitting in 22nd or so in the 20s. So as long as I can get a couple more good fish, I think I'll be in that top 40 range. Also, check out the Cast for a Cause to support Kindlewood Cares. That money is going to help the nonprofit so that I can build some more fishing rods, and then we can raffle those rods off. And what I do is then I donate that money to the Jimmy Fund to help kids with cancer. And what I want to do is maybe take a couple kids out this year fishing, teach them how to fish. So check that out. I'll put a link in the description. And that's it. Thanks.